Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, industrial professionals, thank you very much for joining me on the number one industrial-related podcast in the universe that celebrates you. I'm pointing at you on the video. You're bold, brave, you dare greatly. You innovate, you collaborate. You are solving problems each and every day. This platform celebrates you. Take it to the bank. You're that important. You are. You're making the world a much better place. Thank you very much. All right, in the hot seat, Kevin Turpin. Weavix is the company, and it's right dead center on what makes me passionate about industry. We're talking about better communication, greater insights into your industrial operations, and you do it with speed and focus and clarity, and it just does everything that you can possibly at Weavix. Go out to Weavix.com. Cool. Let's get cracking with the conversation. Yeah, he brings a lot of pepper. He's pretty passionate about his solution, the company's solution. It's very cool. It's just, here's my beef. Here, I have a beef. So we have industry. Industry is happening at a fast, blistering pace. The innovations, the solutions, just you name it, it's happening, and it's happening so fast. My beef, and it deals with information. Because I always talk about, educate, collaborate, and of course, innovate. And everything's sort of grounded in speed. That whole education, that whole information component doesn't happen fast enough. Weavix, their platform, it's real time. It's now. It's insights right now. It's so important. It just sort of feeds that side of me that says, yeah, I'm all in. I want more. Feed it to me. Don't hold back, We in industry, you in industry, and this again, my beef, we need to be faster. We need to be faster, and this sort of dovetails with what we're trying to do. I'll give you a case in point. So I do an interview. Somebody interviewed me. It was, what, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I think. I don't know. Traditional media takes a tremendous amount of time. I'm just stunned. So it takes time. And so because I see the need for the information, and I see the need and the realities that exist out there in the marketplace, it's not it doesn't work. What the demands of the market need is information today, right now, immediate, so that there is action on their part to be able to do whatever is necessary to make their company better, success, whatever it might be. So I'm struggling with that. So we're launching the Industrial News Network, INN. Yeah, we got it. Industrial News .network. And it's what you would think. You would have individuals, correspondents now, let's say, talking about what's taking place in D.C. and how it impacts you as an industrial professional, as a company. We need to know. I mean, it's all fragmented out there. You got to admit, it's all fragmented. So do you know where to go? Do you know where to go? Industrial News Network. That's what we're setting up. That's what we're propping up. It takes the individuals, the people, the individuals that are in the know on specific topics, turn it around quick, consume it so that you can do things now. Now you can tell I'm passionate about it. You can tell I was really all keyed up and hopped up on goofballs about this because I'm just talking about speed. And then here's Weavix. They're all about that. They're all about getting that information out there quickly. They're all about solving problems now, which is fantastic. Come on, it's fantastic. Well, okay, let's get on with the conversation now that I've been on my soapbox. Kevin Turpin, Weavix, he brings the pepper. Let's get going. All right, Kevin, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for joining. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, and I appreciate Scott bring me on the air, man.
I'm looking at your hat.
Hey, I'm supporting it. You got to support the brand, man. It's right there.
Right, Weavix.
Love it.
I mean, let me just sort of take let me take a few moments. Nope, I don't have one of those hats. I don't know where.
Hey.
I know that you probably sent it, but it must be some sort of holding pattern. But it would be great.
It's in the mail, Scott. It's in the mail.
It's sharp. It looks good. Yeah, very cool. Hey, I have to. I digress. No, Scott. Stick with the program. Stick with the flow. Before we get into Weavix, give us a little background on who Kevin is.
All right. Well, my name's Kevin Turpin. I'm the CEO of Weavix. It's my fourth startup, actually, to be honest with you. I started coming out of high school and started getting into
serial.
Yeah, I guess. We don't call ourselves that. We just like to invent and solve problems, right? But I mean, I came from that time and basically started inventing companies around technology and frontline workforces and joined them together, believe it or not, and figured out how to try to help the frontline worker. And so from that moving forward, it really helped me develop companies that grew up pretty large. Actually, we had a massive service company that we still own today and operate, and that's where Weavix spun out of. And so from that point moving forward, Kevin Turpin has been on a mission to connect the disconnected workforce and really make sure we're bringing value to them and also bringing value to companies. So I wake up every day just loving what I do. There's just no doubt about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well done. You've been on podcasts before. You can tell you're just very smooth. If this whole Weavix thing's going to work out, you've got a bright future in podcasting.
Oh, I don't know. I guess all of us, right? When you're passionate about what you love, this comes to be fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's and that's the way I always look at industry in general. It's just the stories, just in general, the macro, right?
Yep.
Are exciting. They're cool. Very cool. Hey, why Weavix? Tell me why that name exists. Just because I know why Industrial Talk name exists.
Sure. Well, it all started with really about, if you think about the workforce, it's about how do you weave them all together, because you have contractors, you got executive staff, you have workers, you have all levels of workers too, ones that just start and ones that have been there a while, which is management, and ones that get it done, right? So one of my beliefs of all of this is, how do we actually build a system that's easy and intuitive to drive together everybody to bring data together and orchestrate the communication so we can solve problems faster. So Weavix came about of like weaving it together, and we're doing it. It's nice. Pretty awesome. It is pretty.
I like
awesome.
That picture. Yeah, I agree with that. Nice picture. Let me paint this. Speaking of pictures, let me paint this picture.
Yep.
So I've been in industry for many years. I've been out in the field. I've understand it, manufacturing, all of the stuff that exists out there in the field. Been through the radio communications, been through the cell phone communications, been through all of the efforts to try to be able to I don't know, create greater it's a safety related issue, but be able to create this communication network. How does Weavix, the technology, the solutions that you come up, address that reality?
It's a great question. Traditional radio communication comes from just basic, what I'd call more analog, or they call it digital, but it's just a communication that's coming through a speaker, right? There's not really any data or anything that we capture. And so the reason for this is obviously because there's a lot of issues when it comes down to networking and sending data, right? So when you think about how the communication works, it really does come off the infrastructure that is built in those facilities. And so it's just stayed stagnant an entire almost 100 years now, right?
Yeah,
So
the radios are about the size of my thigh.
right. So then
A ton.
and I think everybody's sitting back thinking, is it going to be the phone that we use? Well, of course not, right? Why? Because there's loud noises and we need different technologies to muffle them out to get good translation. There's got to be other ways to do multitude of mashing together the network availability. When I say network, I'm meaning like cellular, Wi-Fi, a lot of things that you need to send data, actual data, pictures, real-time translation, translating in the fly, dictation, things like that. So you really think about how does this all come together, and you ask the question, well, why Weavix? Well, we've done that. We've built actually a purpose-built device that allows us to take all of these problems and mash them together with a very, very minimal CapEx expense to the actual manufacturer. And then on top of that, we've built a platform, which is a technology to use information and data to empower the worker. So, how do they actually solve a problem faster? Well, they can send a picture to a center of excellence group that just replies back faster. Or, what about, I can't hear you, right? It's muffled because I'm doing translation. Well, we have all of our noise cancellation and the chips and all the technology we built inside this thing to do that as well. And then lastly, how do you charge them? How do you log on? How does new employees go from building to building? I mean, I could go on, but mastering the art of making sure that we can provide a device in the hand of every worker, Weavix has done that. So
let's say here's a use case. I'm an asset management professional. I'm out there and I'm looking at these assets and I'm making sure whatever I'm getting data from whatever device that exists out there today on that pump, that motor, whatever it might be. This is sort of in the trenches right now. So I go out there and then I have my radio. I'm looking at it. You're saying I can take this handheld device and be able to sort of interact with my asset management platform too, as well, and be able to pull up schematics or just information on that asset too on a real-time basis?
Well, let's start with the simplicity first, right? I think that's the future. And yes, actually we can, but I don't want to kind of sell that because I call that sci-fi. And when we do that, that question you asked is very, very great on what you're asking. But the point of first is the 90%ers of all the workforce just need simplicity. So for instance, 10% of the workforce is doing what you just said. They're allowed to get into a piece of equipment. They're allowed to do things to change and alter the parameters of that equipment. The 90% are the support staff, the people that make things go around, from feeding the machine to taking the finished product off the machine to maintenance on the machine, or even the support staff around maybe doing all of the things inside the facility, from your health and safety and the violations that they have to make sure that and things are going on. So what we're looking at is saying, how do I solve a problem quicker? Let me give you an example. So let's say you're out on the tarmac, right? And we've been having some turnaround, let's say, because it's hot, it's a busy job, and some people are maybe advancing in their careers, so they're not staying as long. And they hop on a 1976 tug. Right? Well, that tug, they're relying on that tug to push that jet back so they can get on time so everybody else downstream of the whole day doesn't get delayed. That tug doesn't start. Well, now we're looking at, okay, what do we do, right? Now, and this person's not a person that probably got the full, radio and Mecca to call anybody and everybody. When you're in a Weavix platform, they go straight to basically their channel, which we can create as many channels as possible to the actual user. And those channels are around to solve the problem. So we orchestrate the communication. So he says, tug. So basically looks down and says, equipment problem. And hey, I got equipment problem. They can go back to a group. Call it 3 people that's even sitting around that knows every piece of equipment out there. The senior of all senior says, oh, pull on that cord, push that down and fire it up. Boom, they fire it up and off we go. We push that plane back. What we don't have today is that orchestration of communication, the way to get easy, fast info back to somewhere to solve a problem. And people wonder why we have frustration and turnover in our workforce is they can't succeed. And they don't have the tools to succeed. Then how can they be successful? So I'm just being very simple on that, Scott.
But that brings out this sort of turned over a question. How does how does the platform, how does your solution know who to contact? So I'm the guy. I'm next to the tug. We've been there, by the way. You know, that doesn't work. That's not a fun thing, and that's not a great conversation to have from the captain. Oh, we're having a problem with
right.
But how do I take this solution, tug as a problem, know who to contact to get my answer and to get it solved?
Yep. So the platform obviously is smart because whenever you sign on, we know who you are, we know your title, we know your job and duty. And so as you look from the orchestration from the platform of Weavix, that orchestrates it. So for instance, if we want all those channels, we can on the back admin portal put in, hey, I want everybody that is an equipment operator that's on. Hey, we can even put geofence and say, hey, equipment operator of Terminal 2. And we want them to be able to have access to these channels to solve these problems. And so basically those channels are available to them. And on the other end of that are the people that can solve the problem. Or if you are even more open as the platform gets greater, like a bunch of major logos are doing today, they allow their own people to create their own channels with their own people. Now, I'm going to throw on top of this over 30 language translations live on the fly. So I'm like, everything goes along with everything that solves to get better, clean communication, to keep all communication equal and clear. So I'm not even throwing in the details of what we're doing on top of a very diverse workforce. I'm just talking about answering your question of the orchestration and how that works. So as it grows upon itself and who you are in the organization, we're fulfilling those channels on that radio along with all the technology I talked about to make sure it's clear, it's easy, it's everything under what you're wanting to make sure that it's correct. It's the orchestration. It's magic.
Okay. Back to the use case that you provided with the tug.
Yep.
So now I'm able to sort of, hey, got a problem with the tug. Then it goes to the right individuals. The individuals say, do this, twist this, do that. And then I come back and I'll say, nope, doesn't work.
Yep.
Then there's subsequent actions that are associated with that particular asset. And it's all focused on compressing that time to solution.
Got it.
So all of a sudden, now I need a new tug. Well, go down to Concourse C, there's a tug sitting, whatever the process might be.
Right. You're right. Yeah. So basically now you can start documenting the information, right? Think about it. Like if that's being called in 5-6 times and you're starting to see this data. So we have data analytics on the backside that's obviously taking all of communication and keep in mind, I want everybody out there to know this. No, technology does not care about the individual name. We care about the data to help the worker. And I want to reiterate that. We don't care. We're not trying to get people in trouble. We're trying to find out what is the solution to the problem. And that's the very way that we really got to work hard as Weavix to say, look, we're here to help. And we want to make sure we help and not hurt. And so when I say these things are going, oh, wow, they're listening to translation and the dictation of the language. No, we're just saying we're looking for little keywords like tug, not working this. And then we bubble that up in analytical data and show everybody, hey, you got a tug problem. Your fleet is way too old, right? And it's creating you X amount of time. I'll give you one more fact is that there's a massive airline that we work for, massive.
Yeah.
And we've talked with the head leadership. 5 minutes of increased time, 5 minutes is a $1.5 billion savings to that organization. 5 minutes per pushback. If they can basically reduce the time to push back a plane by 5 minutes, that will be $1.5 billion on the bottom line.
That's staggering.
Interesting. I love this.
Staggering. Yeah, because I remember having a conversation with somebody that was in the airline industry, and it's just real important to turn these assets around, keep them in the air, keep that revenue flowing.
That's right.
If they're stuck on the ground, they're not earning money.
Nope. And their maintenance program is pristine on the aircraft. What they need to orchestrate better. And this is just an example in a terminal solution, right? We do this in manufacturing. We do this in construction. We do this in all the areas where it's really a high orchestrated event. But in this case, right, the maintenance, they've got it dialed in. And I think one of the podcasts I was listening to, yours was like, hey, we got this dialed on the equipment, but what about all the supporting stuff? It's putting us down, right? And so you can be great at one thing. And yes, that is obviously very important to be safe and for a plane to be safe and be in a high.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Kevin.
You're very welcome. But if we're looking at the bottom line and we're looking at how we're going to improve, ultimately how we're going to improve, we have to understand every granular section of data from the very, very front. And we need to appreciate that too, right? And keep this workforce moving and keep people excelling in their careers and feeling a part of the organization. And it's communication.
See, now you're talking about data, and you mentioned it a couple of times. One of the challenges that I see with data is the fact, where do you store it? How do you grab? Right. How do you sift through it? Right? There's data, and there's a lot of noise in the data, and then there's actionable pieces of data that I want to be able to flip over, do it like you said.
Yeah.
The Weavix platform, if I'm talking on it and it's translating, it's doing what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Where does all this information, where does it go?
Yeah. So it goes to the Weavix platform. So basically you think about traditional radio communication. Yes, it is running through some compute, but it's not running through a platform that's looking at every facet of that data, and it's not organized correctly if you're just putting it into spreadsheets, right? So what we're doing with Weavix is we're driving it back to the main, basically cloud-based application. And that cloud-based application allows this to what I would call analyze in the way you want to analyze the information. So there's workflow inside of the product, meaning I can cause action and reaction, right? So if something is happening or somebody's calling or we're in a geofence, we're in certain areas, I can actually drive another action, right? Which is a workflow. Or then I can use information and say, hey, a good example would be like this, Scott. Like we can tell you how many transmissions, which means the push of the button, how many talks are we talking in certain areas? I can tell you if we're talking about a certain problem whenever it comes to an issue with a piece of equipment, right? Yeah. So all of this information is very valuable. And as I tell CEOs, plant managers, operation managers, I talk to them all the time saying, hey, it's what you don't know that hurts you, right? And so we need to know everything about anything to try to get all of that bubbled up so we can do preventative and make sure we're covering all aspects. And that's from employee morale all the way down to equipment and safety hazards.
See, I like the picture of connected workforce and what your platform brings, because and frankly, they're every bit is they're more important assets. Those individuals are greater assets than maybe those physical assets that are out in the field. A couple of questions, and I was writing them down because I'm not sharp like you.
No.
So I'm a company. Yep. I've got an existing whatever communication platform I have in place. There's something out there or whatever it might be. I'm trying to communicate, but I'm saying, hey, I like what Kevin's saying. I like to know more about Weavix. Mm-hmm. How long would it take for me as a company to, okay, I want to implement this system? What am I talking about time-wise?
Great question. So a very, very large auto manufacturer, who's a great client of ours, implemented 1,000 devices, and we did that in 2 days. So basically, from start to finish, we can implement, and it depends on too of how you want to orchestrate that, because it depends on, we don't want to just shut down the whole entire facility and bring them in and start talking to them. So it's more of a customer relation of how they want to disturb for a short amount of time for their manufacturing to go into it. It's not a Weavix thing. We've developed Weavix to be implemented faster than you'd ever imagine. And the reason why that is because everything we do is all automated in a way of easy and intuitive, right? So example is when you come and get signed on to Weavix, and everybody listening that is a Weavix user, which we're striving to get 1 million users, and that's our goal. And with that said, they basically walk into a room, and one of our sales pitches is pick up the device, see if you can get logged onto it. Before you know it, they're already logged onto it. It's already in their name, and they're already figuring out how to change the languages. They're figuring out how to work through it, and they it's a self-intuitive learning aspect. It has to be like that, right? And so moving forward with that, it's about collaboration and understanding. But here's the fun part. All customer support is on our device. You have a question, go to customer support, call it, ask the question. And that is how we solve the problem.
Yeah, that's pretty doggone cool. I saw that with a CNC machine, right?
Oh,
You'd be at the CNC and you can say, well, I'm having a hard time with this disgruntificator, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I need this. Oh, yeah, here you go.
well, I mean, yeah, I figured out whenever I was in the midst of developing this, obviously coming from running thousands of workers and loving every minute of it because they're family to myself, I was like, what would I want? What would I want to do? Well, I need, if we're communication, we should be able to push the button and get an answer. Same thing we're doing for the customer, right? So we have to do that same piece as Weavix, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, push the button, ask the question. We'll help you get to the right answer. And that's why obviously it's, we're just growing like crazy, which is fantastic.
Okay, I'm a company. Again, using that analogy, I'm a company. And I have legacy systems. I have an ERP, I have a CMMS or an APM or whatever that asset. Does your solution, your platform, have APIs that will send specific pieces of data to these platforms that are important? I mean, you don't want to miss out saying, hey, here it is, and be able to attach that data to their legacy systems. Does that exist?
It does exist. Yes, we have a full API, integrated API backend for it. You can use information to help trigger and act and obviously integrate into the entire system. One of the sayings we say at Weavix is gate to gate. And why we say that is we want to be able to help the worker from the time they walk into the gate until they walk out of the gate that night. So as we're not quite obviously have all integrations, meaning that we're providing that's the vision and roadmap of Weavix, is to say, hey, this is your hub, this is your device. We're here to help you do a really good job to exceed and excel in your career, right? To show that you are important to this organization. But we also ask them too to work hard, right? And give us what you got and tell us what the problems are, and let's work together as a team. Let's don't keep this executive staff up in the big building, to say that they have no respect from the workforce. And that's a very true and real thing.
Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah. So we're merging that away. We're weaving it together, and it's happening. Its respect is going all angles, and it's showing efficiencies just unreal.
Well, I like the fact that it's getting better. Long ago, when I was doing others deploying systems, we would always have to deal with bad data, pencil whipping, right?
Yep.
Not reflective of what's going on out in the field. What I see, correct me if I'm wrong, is you have a platform that ensures the fact that there's quality data, information. You're not pencil whipping, which I love, and you're ensuring some sort of long-term insights into these assets because you're right there. How? So I'm the company again, and I have this system. What type of bottom line value? What type of value can I expect? I see it, I get it, I like it. What are we talking about here?
Yep. Well, first off, safety is everything, right? So safety you can't even put a dollar amount to safety. Now, I'm not going to play, for everybody that's listening, I'm not going to play that game, right? I know that a lot of people want to throw their hat in that ring and play off the safety piece just because it sells, right? That's not what Weavix is trying to do. So the savings that we are coming and putting in the market are solving problems, and the real problems that the customers tell us that need to be solved. And 99% of them are communication, because they don't know what information to know to fix the problem. Now, that's a tongue twister there, but they don't understand exactly, because you made a great comment. It's subjective data. And so one of my past technologies that I developed too for one of the service companies was making sure that we were capturing real inspection data in the way to the risk profile of the plant, not the risk profile of the mine, right? So when we say this is a corroded pipe, or this is that, we were doing picture recognition on that. So come back to reality now and think about people. We want accuracy, and we want to know what are some of the issues, because every plant has different issues, and we want that information to come back We want to solve those problems and fix them and just keep tackling, because problems come up every day. So the immense value that you're going to get out of Weavix is not only just, first off, almost zero incidents in safety is what we're going for, right? And that's what we're seeing with a lot of people. Second off, why is that? Full translation. Your multilingual companies cannot speak the things about what are hazards and give that.
Just blows my mind. That's mad technology. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And the last is the efficiency of the operational efficiency that we're going to achieve. And that is all documented. It's easy to calculate. You can pay for the system in the first month. We've had people pay for the system in the first day, just because it's very affordable in the way of to implement and put into system. It's just amazing on what it does.
That is amazing. Then what are the roadblocks? What I hear you saying. If I had a business and I had a manufacturing process, I'd be all over this, Kevin. But I don't. I just have a studio. But what are the sort of these roadblocks? What are we talking about here? What can we do to help get people past that?
Well, it's fear, right? So one of the things, let's start with that. All of us ran mega companies, started them and ran them all the way to the big deal, and still in Weavix today. And we always, as managers, fear our employees are going to get upset. We don't explain what we're trying to do. We try to force. And so one of the things, when people hear this story or they hear the Weavix story, they think, oh my gosh, do I want to know that much data? Oh my gosh, is this a liability if I knew that much?
Yeah.
Well, so are we turning a blind eye would be a question. But on the other hand, they want their cake and eat it too and say, we got to have efficiency. I'm looking at my P&L and it's not doing well. And executive management or even corporate management's starting to notice we're having issues and problems. Well, which one is it? Right? The one it is we have to educate our workforce. We have to show that we care. We have to show that this product is not to hurt you, and be forward with that. I mean, every person that you would think, which I think has just been remarkable to see this, every big brand you can name is using our product, is amazing to me. You know why they're a big brand? Because they're innovative. They come out and try new things. They do it every time. And so then all the companies that are not, and they complain about it, and don't get me wrong, they might be not the premium brand inside of their industry or market, but man, if we're trying to do things right and we are trying to solve a problem and be competitive in our space, we're going to have to engage with our workforce, and we're going to have to use tools to listen to them. They have the best answers. Why? Their hands are on the goods. I mean, it's just the goods. So see,
you. I have a 3-legged stool. I can increase it to a 7-leg stool, but nobody really wants to sit on that. But a 3-legged stool, I always say educate, which you're dealing with, right. Collaborate, which if you can create a collaborative type of environment through this communication platform, Weavix, that's fantastic. And the final one, successful companies always innovate. That's through my conversations that I've had in the past. Those are 3 drivers that successful companies always achieve. Your platform represents all 3. You're outstanding. There you go.
It's fun. I tell you what. And what I love to get out there is, hey, it doesn't hurt to ask. Like, call us up. Ask. Get curious. One of the things my dad's always taught me my whole life is like, be curious and really ask questions. And also don't take things personal. I mean, our lives change and workers' lives change. Don't get me wrong. We have some bad offenders and some things in that. I'm not going to say there's a bottom percentage that are, but 99% want to come to work and do a great job. And let's take advantage of that.
I love it. Kevin, how do people get a hold of you? They're saying, I want to know more about it. You're going to say first, I'm out on LinkedIn. So
no, I mean, actually, I'll just start out. We have a hello@weavix.com that they can reach out to, or you can go to weavix.com and just reach out on any aspect. You can put in a form fill and say, hey, I heard you on the podcast. And also you can always go to LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn myself.
Yes. It makes it easy for me to put a link. Because everybody's going to want to know who Kevin is. And if their LinkedIn profile is up to date, then they know what Kevin is.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're here to help, answer questions, anything that they have. I mean, even if you're calling to ask, like, who's done what, We fit every industry where it's at. I mean, it's just we are here to solve problems through communication, and we're winning.
Outstanding. You,
Steve, you're doing, Scott, you're doing a great job too. That's what I was one thing going to say about that, all that stuff. So,
thank you very much. Because nobody, all right, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm gonna walk tall today because Kevin said I did a good job.
No, I just think it's great. I listen to your podcast all the time, and it's
how can you not geek out on all these conversations?
They are amazing. They're amazing. I learn something every day.
Yes. Yeah, I'm living my Discovery Channel dream because I get to talk to people like you, leaders like you, who just get it, who sees the future and is excited about what's happening. We have got to do that. Come on. You're awesome, man.
Well, I was glad to meet you in person too. That's why it's an honor. I know you're everywhere in all the places, and I hope everybody really gets involved in it because you're doing bringing all of this awareness to this industry.
My mission, my purpose, making sure that industry succeeds. I want industry professionals to succeed, companies to succeed. That's what I want. You were absolutely wonderful, Kevin. Thank you very much for being on Industrial Talk.
Scott, thank you so much. Anytime.
All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. We're going to have all the contact information for Kevin out on Industrial Talk. This is a must connect. Make it happen, Captain. All right, we're going to wrap it up. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Doodly-doo. Kevin Turpin, Weavix. Yeah. Weavix.com. Go out there, find out more. They're doing stuff. They're making things happen. They're invested in the success of industry. That's their company. That's their culture. That's Kevin. Very cool. I really enjoyed that conversation. Again, Industrial News Network. Put that down. I got a sort of a landing page out there for that URL. That's industrialnews.network. It's in the works. You know why? Because I've had 3,000 of these conversations, and I just love the opportunity to be able to compress that time of news and action and being able to do it in just as fast as possible because I want you to succeed. Industrial News Network. All right, be bold, be brave. Dare greatly. Hang out with Kevin. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.